Have you ever looked at one of those gigantic, multi-billion-dollar projects, the ones that build whole new city districts, and just wondered, how on earth do they keep that from becoming a total train wreck? Well, it's one of the biggest challenges out there, and today we're going to pull back the curtain on a really powerful model for taming that chaos. It's called the Directive PMO.
I mean, we've all seen the headlines, right? The huge infrastructure project that's way over budget, or that new tech platform that's years behind schedule. It's so frustrating. And you know what? It's not just bad luck. It's almost always a symptom of this deep-seated chaos hiding inside a massive portfolio of projects, where every single team does things their own way and nobody is really steering the ship.
So how do we fix it? Well, we're going to break it all down for you in 5 parts. First, we'll dig into the mega project problem itself. Then we'll introduce a solution that has some real teeth. We'll look at where its power comes from, see how it actually works day to day, and finally, we'll talk about the huge payoff for all this effort.
Okay, so here's the heart of the issue. In these really big organizations, you get this dangerous breakdown of alignment and consistency. You've got different project teams using totally different standards, they're reporting data in different ways, and half the time, they aren't even pulling in the same strategic direction. It is an absolute, guaranteed recipe for delays, budget blowouts, and ultimately, failure.
Really, the only way to pull this back from the brink is to shift from that state of complete chaos to one of centralized, authoritative control. You have to have a single source of truth, one set of rules for everybody, and a single group with the undisputed power to make sure everyone follows them.
And that brings us to our solution, the Directive Project Management Office, or what we'll call the DPMO. Now, you've probably heard of PMOs before, but I promise you, the directive model is on a whole different level. This is not your typical friendly support team.
Okay, this slide right here, this is the aha moment. A normal PMO, it's kind of like a coach. It advises, it supports, it offers helpful guidance. A directive PMO, on the other hand, is more like an air traffic controller. It doesn't suggest a flight path, it directs it. Its goal isn't just to help you get better at project management, its goal is to control project execution, period.
This one line, taken right from a DPMO's charter, says it all. Everything, and I mean everything, the DPMO does, whether it's providing a dashboard or reviewing risks, is an act of enforcement. There's just no room for interpretation. It's a massive cultural shift from "can we help you" to "here is what you will do."
So you're probably asking, okay, where does all this power come from? This isn't some rogue department going on a power trip. A DPMO is given its authority, its mandate for control, from the very top of the organization. And it gets that power for one reason: to solve a massive, critical business problem that nobody else can.
So what does that look like day to day? Well, the DPMO is authorized to mandate compliance and direct project teams. It can issue formal orders, directives for corrective action. It's the one that approves any big changes, and just as important, it owns all the data. That means teams can't hide problems or spin the truth. The DPMO becomes the single source of facts.
And this right here is the ultimate expression of that authority. If a project is not meeting the standards, whether that's on safety, budget, quality, you name it, the DPMO has the power to stop it cold. Just stop. That is a level of centralized control you almost never see.
And you can see exactly how that power flows here. It starts right at the top with the board of directors who authorize the whole thing. That authority then flows down to the DPMO, which issues its mandates directly to the project teams. And look at that language at the bottom. The teams are obligated to execute. It's not optional. It's not a suggestion.
All right, so that's the what. Let's talk about the how. It's one thing to have a charter that grants you all this authority, but how does the DPMO actually use that control on a daily basis across a portfolio of dozens of incredibly complex projects?
It all happens through a set of core functions, and you can think of each one as a control mechanism. This covers everything from enforcing mandatory governance rules to overseeing risks and ESG compliance. That's your environmental, social, and governance stuff. Every single function is designed to enforce the rules across the board, no exceptions.
And the number one tool for enforcement is this, the Directive Stage-Gate model. The best way to think of this is like a series of heavily armed checkpoints. A project simply cannot move from one stage, like design, into the next stage, like construction, without getting explicit, formal approval from the DPMO.
And the key word here is binding. The decision the DPMO makes at each of these gates isn't a recommendation. It's a binding corporate order.
So if the DPMO says a project needs to fix 3 critical design flaws before it can go to procurement, that project is at a full stop until those fixes are made, verified, and signed off on.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like a lot of bureaucracy, right? Super heavy-handed. So why would any company do this? The answer is all about the payoff. You get to move from a constant state of firefighting and nasty surprises to one of predictable, reliable delivery.
And success isn't some vague feeling of being more in control. Oh no, it is measured relentlessly with cold, hard data across all the key areas. From schedule compliance and cost control all the way to risk mitigation. The DPMO always knows exactly how well the entire portfolio is performing against its directives.
And this is what that success actually looks like in the end. Your delivery predictability just goes way up. When problems do pop up, they get fixed faster because the DPMO can issue a directive immediately. You spend way less time in those endless escalation meetings, and maybe most importantly, the company gets a much better return on its massive investments because the projects are finally truly doing what they were supposed to do.
So that really leaves us with one last thought. When it comes to managing these huge, high-stakes projects, you're really only ever in one of 2 states. The only question is, which one is your organization choosing? Is it the managed, predictable world of control, or the constant, exhausting firefighting of chaos?